Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Let's begin this Sunday morning by standing and singing together. Please, will you join us?
Good morning, and welcome to First Unitarian Church of Portland on this beautiful Sunday spring morning. Before we go, this is my first and possibly last opportunity to serve as the worship assistant. So I ask that you hold me in care and understanding, particularly if I flub up. We're especially grateful you've chosen to spend time with us, whether you're here in person or joining online. We're a multi-generational, spiritually inclusive, and justice-centered community that strives to put love at the center. A special welcome if you are new among us. If you are new, please drop by the First Connections table during social hour, which is immediately after this service down below. Would love to meet you and help you with any questions. Now let's take a few moments to greet one another here in person or in the online chat. I think ringing the bell is the most challenging part of being the worship assistant. It's time for our chalice lighting. Members of our kindergarten and first grade class will light our chalice today. If you're joining us from home, I invite you to light a chalice or a candle if you have one. We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love. Yay!
Thank you, guys. This is great. Come into this space made sacred by our presence here. As we come into this season of spring, ready for new life to emerge once again, in a world harmed by violence and war, may we find a way to be peacemakers. In a world too often full of hate and brokenness, may we sow seeds of love. And may we do that, all of that, with a little help from our friends. Come now and let us worship together. And now a word from our auction committee.
Take care of this during our first Raise the Roof in 2013?
We did, but we have so many roofs, Marty. So many leaks. Oh my goodness, look, it's leaking over there.
And, well, here too.
Yes, it's leaking. It's leaking. It's leaking. Uh-oh, it's leaking over here. Hurry, Josh, get that one. Oh, and over there. Oh my goodness.
Okay. It is leaking. It's pouring.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Raining and pouring.
We have a lot of leaks, but the church now has an ongoing plan to maintain all of the different churches' roofs. This year, Creating Connections auctions proceeds will go to fixing and maintaining our roofs. So our auction is called Many Beliefs, since we all come with many beliefs, many roofs, bid high, and stay dry. Uh-oh. Sorry, Jason, you guys have a lot to clean up.
I apologize to the sextons.
To understand what we're talking about, Jason is now going to give us a tour of the roofs he did a few years ago. So here's Jason.
Okay, you want to see the tour of the roof? Let's start off on the main sanctuary. This is the highest point on the main sanctuary roof. We have 2 antennas for Northwest Academy's internet connection and inter-building connection, as far as one of our swimming pools up here. So one of the big things we do around here is we make sure that the drains are clear. So especially when we go from spring to, or summer to fall, and fall into winter, there's a lot of debris, leaves fall, and our drains get plugged. So we have to come up here and bag up all this compost, basically, which makes a great plugger of drains. Looking at the office roof, this is a challenging roof. It's mostly built like a swimming pool, not a roof. We have one drain located on that end, and then we have these 3 outcroppings of duct, so it makes 3 pools. Another challenging aspect are the big trees above us. So every fall we have a lot of leaves, dumpsters and dumpsters full of leaves that we need to rake and get off the roof. We're up on the main sanctuary roof. This is the large pitched portion. It takes a lot of maintenance to keep the moss and leaves and debris out from clogging our 4 drains. So this is the lower Elliott roof. This is the side where more than half of the solar panels are going to be installed on this section here, and then more up on the Buchanan roof. We've been working on this project for a couple years now, and we're pretty excited to get it going. The start date's October 7th. Here we are looking at the slate roof of the chapel, the upper Elliott roof. We're right above fireside room right now, in the hallway outside the bathrooms. Okay, here we are. Here's the Elliott Chapel slate roof. Up here is the steeple. The window facing west, right there, that's the one it broke out in a windstorm we had back in like 2013. Glass was everywhere. It had cascaded down off the other side, which goes right to Salmon Street. It was quite an ordeal to get that one replaced. Heading down to the Channing roof. This was one of our first auction items that we did. We had the roof completely redone, seismically upgraded, so the roof was tied into the building, and then we had these struts put in to hold this wall up in case there's an earthquake, the walls won't fall down. We had a new drain put in, and then a secondary scupper drain, so if the first one clogs up, it can overflow out to the street. Can roof, HVAC systems right here. This is the other location, the second half of where some of the solar panels will be installed. One thing you can say up here on the roof is it's a beautiful view, especially when it's sunny outside. Okay, here we're looking at the skylights down in Daisy Bingham. Back in 2016, or was that 17? Time flies. We tore off these old roofs, these old skylight roofing here, and we which were totally blocked off. There was no sunlight that could get through. And so part of that project, we tore that old thing off and built a new roof and put skylights in on both sides. Thanks for joining us on this tour of the roofs.
But wait, there's more. As I speak, we are now online to accept all of your donations today, if you like. But if you are unsure of what you'd like to give, if you need ideas or want to get registered, please hurry down to Fuller Hall after the service and join our highly trained and extremely friendly volunteers, and they will help you with ideas for events, services, vacation homes, or even items created by congregants. Now, I do want to remind you this. The final date for donations is April 6th. Remember that. And I have one final request for that. Evie and Sharon have been our loyal and undaunted volunteer leaders for 12 years for these. Yes. And as was one of the original members, so I've been here for 12 years too.
Yes, she has.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I have a request from the committee. The closer we get to the deadline, the more freaked out Sharon and really Evie get that we're not going to have anything. So on behalf of the committee, please get your things in early so we can keep these people calm and centered.
As you saw by the video, having our roofs repaired is a top priority. So we really hope that all of you will think of something that you might be able to do to share your talents and open your homes to other congregants. The auction, after your donations come in by April, what day again?
6.
Thank you, Marty. The auction will start April 19th, and it goes until May 2nd. This is a way for us to both support the church financially and to help build community. And you know what? We have a lot of fun in the process going to all these events. This is our 12th year doing the auctions for special projects. Over the years, we have raised over $500,000 from your generosity for the auction. So give yourself a hand. It's all because of all of you that we are so successful. So let's have another successful auction this year. Remember, many beliefs, many roofs, bid high and stay dry.
Oh my gosh.
Good luck, Bill.
Yeah.
It's a mess up here.
At this time, we're going to sing our kids out with our hymn of blessing. If you are a new family or are new to this area and with your young ones, please find your way out to the narthex and folks will help assist you. Please stand.
Responsive reading. The Healing Time by Pesha Gertler. Finally, on my way to yes, I bump into all the places where I said no to my life. All the untended wounds, the red and purple scars, those hieroglyphs of pain carved into my skin, my bones. Those coded messages that send me down the wrong street again and again. Where I find them, the old wounds, the old misdirections, and I live them one by one close to my heart, and I say, holy, holy.
Today up here in the chancel, we have our community choir, which is comprised of members of Chalice, Radiance, and guests. If you are in the chancel for the first time, will you give a wave? Good, good, good. This is a time where, folks, no prior rehearsals are needed, no prior experience are necessary. We show up here at 8:45 and we do our thing, and we present 2 anthems for you. The first one that we're going to do is called Love is Love is Love is Love is Love. We've done it a few times here before, and you all are going to join us. There's nothing up on the screens, but I'm going to teach you a little mantra. Please feel free to join us if you'd like. It sounds something like this. Love, love, love. All we need is love, love, love. Now repeats. All we need is love, love, love. All we need is love, love, love. One more time. All we need is love, love, love. All we need is love, love, love. All we need is love. So the choir will start first, and when I turn to you, please feel free to join us.
Love
mess. Sorry, Jason and Sextons. So we are an active congregation, and here are a few notes about happenings at church this week. Join us for our social hour after the service in Fuller Hall, which is directly below the sanctuary. The next No Kings March is this coming Saturday, March 28th. Join fellow congregants as we unite communities all across the country to speak out against rising authoritarianism and injustice. There will be multiple events. A bridge brigade from 10:30 to 11:30 near the church. Sign making in Fuller Hall at 11. And then a march from church to the Battleship Oregon Memorial at noon. More details are available in the weekly e-news front steps or at the Democracy in Action table in social hour. Today is the last day to submit your reservation for the Seder dinner, which is after service next Sunday. Register on the church's website events calendar. And finally, if you, like me, are struggling to cope with the daily news and events, join us online Vespers service, Vigils for Troubling Times. Gather in community, lament, solace, inspiration, and hope. The next one is this Tuesday, March 24th at 5:30 p.m. Lasts about 40 minutes. This series will continue on the fourth Tuesday of each month through June. You can find the link to the Zoom call on the church calendar. It's now time for our offering. This month we are sharing our offering with Q Center, which celebrates 2S LGBTQIA+ community, which, in case you're wondering what that acronym stands for, Two-Spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex, and asexual, with the plus representing other sexual and gender identities. Q Center builds community by creating equitable structures to foster safety, joy, mutual aid, and holistic wealth throughout the state of Oregon. If you'd like to give and you're here in person, ushers will be by shortly to accept your gift. You can also scan the QR code on the green cards and near your seat, or the QR code which will appear here shortly. If you're online, you can also use the donate button on Boxcast. This parish concerns. We make space each week in our service to name the milestones of sorrows. Nope. Thank you for your care and understanding. If I had read my script, it said sit down. So now it's time for our parish concerns. And as we started momentarily ago, we make space each week in our service to name the milestones of sorrows, transitions, and joys of our community. If you have a milestone that you would like shared during a Sunday service or held by our ministers or lay ministers, you can go to our website and search for pastoral care. You could also use the tiny URL shown at the bottom of our screen eventually. Both of these methods will bring up a form for you to fill out, which will automatically go to the ministers and lay ministers. If you're here in person, you can light a candle in either side gallery. Oh boy. Write down your intention and place it in the prayer urn to be collected by our lay ministers. There's a concern and a joy to share with you today. On Tuesday, Phil Scott, a member since 1980, had a bad fall while walking downtown and broke his hip. He had a complicated surgery on Wednesday and hopes to be released today to go home from Kaiser Sunnyside. Unfortunately, this type of injury requires a long convalescence. Phil asked for your consideration during this time. I am told his sense of humor remains intact. Our joys, we offer our congratulations to the 4th and 6th grade Our Whole Lives, or OWL, cohort, as they hold their final class this afternoon. Neha, Mara, Sam, Rowan, Maya, Liam, and Charlotte have completed 8 sessions of fact-based, comprehensive, and developmentally appropriate sexuality education. Yes. That education focuses on puberty, body image, values, and healthy relationships. Special appreciation for the volunteer teachers, David and Em. I wish the OWL class was available when I was that age. Would you pray with me? Spirit of life and gracious mystery, we pause today in the quiet wonder of our own existence. We ground ourselves in the miracle of this body, our earthly vessel that breathes, feels, and carries our unique stories through the world. We honor the mind, that restless spark of curiosity and reason that seeks truth, creates beauty, and dreams of what might be. And we hold space for the Spirit, the invisible thread that binds our inner lives to the vast, interconnected web of all being. In a world that often asks us to fragment ourselves, may we find the courage to be whole. Let us remember that we are not a collection of parts, but a sacred integration. When we hold our mind, body, and spirit in harmony, we become a more vibrant reflection of the love we wish to see in this world. In the name of all that is holy and all that is human, may it be so, and blessed be. May we enjoy a few moments of silence. Thank you. Please rise in body and in spirit as we sing our doxology, Spirit of Life. Our reading today is a poem written in 1990 by Joy Harjo. Joy Harjo is not only a poet, but a musician and author. She was the first Native American poet laureate of the United States. Many consider this poem I'm about to read as her most important one. It's titled Eagle Poem. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky, in wind swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are all made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born and die soon within a true circle of motion. Like eagle rounding out the morning inside us, we pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty.
Our spiritual theme this month is wholeness. Wholeness. Whole. Just what does that mean in each of our lives? Where do we find wholeness? Perhaps the best place to start is in the beginning. It is perhaps when children enter the world that we can most easily identify that sense of wholeness, that we are perfect just as we are in all of our innocence. I think of the words we use in our child dedications here at the church, calling for each child's life to unfold like the beauty of a flower. But that sense of wholeness may get a little more complicated with time. We come to learn the ways that we fit or don't fit in. We come to get messages about who we should be or who we should not be, who we should hang out with or not. We encounter challenges and blessings, big and small. With time, we come to ask what success means for us. We get messages about what that means for us or how we could improve ourselves. Maybe lose a few pounds or maybe dress a little differently, how we should be careful not to stick out too much, or maybe how we need to stick out a little bit more, or maybe be more like our older siblings or the neighbor kids across the way. And maybe we come to carry messages that can cut quite a bit deeper, messages about whether we're lovable or not, whether the particular gifts we bring are good enough, whether we ourselves are good enough or not. And then there are those messages that come from the larger culture. On some level, we may take on messages that come from the sins of racism and sexism, the sins of ableism and transphobia, or how our bodies should be or shouldn't be, or how they conform or don't conform to whatever the perceived standard might be. We may come to see how some of the qualities are valued much, much more than others. We are each our own unique composition of those life experiences, some good and some for ill, that come together in some wonderful and mysterious package that is each of us. It is one of the privileges as a minister to see some of those things pop out from time to time. I'm sometimes surprised that it might be the person who on the surface seems to have it all together, only to find a person who is full of self-doubt, that they are nothing like their public face they wear. With time can come a loss of what we might call soul or our essential self. We may lose some sense of who we are, and that can become less and less clear sometimes. There are times when I want to be able to go back in time and see a person when they were 4 or 5 or 6 years old and know a little bit about what their world was like, how they did or didn't get what they needed in that moment, and how it is that person seemed to thrive despite those circumstances, and another seemed to never quite get through. Yes, I think we are all the results of all of our life experiences, all those blessings, all those challenges, how it is those experiences come to shape us as the unique persons we each become. And sometimes those experiences that we think are long hidden can suddenly come to the surface. The other day I was in a meeting on Zoom. The person leading the meeting invited us, everyone, to check in, and they would do that by her inviting a person to check in, and then they would go around and invite the next person to check in. Tag, you're it kind of thing. Well, it turned out that on this particular meeting that I was the last person chosen to check in. Now, that doesn't seem like such a big deal, but in that particular day, being that last person to check in took me back some 50 years to elementary gym class. I noticed a little tightening in my gut that in that moment I was back in that gym class in Hollandale, Wisconsin, the last kid chosen. Now, I can't say I was always the last person chosen, but I would say that more often than not, I was in the bottom quartile. Let's say that. And I was surprised at how quickly all of the emotions of that experience of being chosen last suddenly came back to me. All of a sudden, I was that overweight kid feeling vulnerable and alone. All of a sudden, I was that kid who wanted to just be about anywhere else but in that gym class. I think it's important sometimes to be reminded of those experiences that have shaped us, some for good and some for ill. So many of them that we may think we've forgotten a long, long time ago. And hopefully we can look back on them from that place of wholeness, to be able to recognize how they shape us along with so many other things, how it is we made it through, even if in the moment it wasn't easy at all, how we are shaped, but also but not necessarily defined by those experiences. The writer Parker Palmer frames it from the perspective of soul, that it might be called our essence, some essential expression of who we each are as people. In classical terms, the soul part of us is that part of us that lives even after we may no longer physically be alive. Sometimes the experiences of life can seem to rob us of soul, some essential part of who we are. Sometimes there's a need to recover some part of ourselves that can get lost in the process. And it may be with perspective that time can offer us so much. For me, it's also recognizing how the awareness that I was not necessarily good at sports led me to explore art and music and drama. How not being good at sports made a space for me to explore books and reading and learning and writing. How my life was more than that elementary gym class. Life, I think, is about taking the experiences of our lives and the relationships in our lives and making meaning. But that can all take time. Truth is, many of us likely come to see ourselves as anything but whole or perfect. We may come to carry those voices from somewhere deep, deep inside, those voices of parents or teachers, of bullies or people who defended us. Those wounds, even when seemingly healed, can still very much be present. All of that becomes part of our collective, our own story, and the story we bring to the world. Sometimes it may mean finding our way to some new version of our story. Wholeness, I think, is about finding that place of acceptance in the place where we find ourselves. Too often, I think it can come to mean a return to some place in the past, some kind of ideal. But sometimes it's about coming to a place of wholeness that isn't about what we have known. It's with time and with perspective that can come a renewed sense of our whole self, traumas and all, the possibility that can come with the recognition that we are all works in progress. An example from the natural world. Parker Palmer talks about one of his favorite places on earth called the Boundary Waters Canoe Area in northern Minnesota. It's over 1 million acres of pristine wilderness. Parker says that at first going there was simply a vacation for him, but that as he returned time and time again to that elemental world of water, rock, woods, and sky, his vacations came to feel more like a pilgrimage, an annual trek to holy ground driven by spiritual need. How that place came to represent for him how life looked when lived with a sense of wholeness and integrity. All of that changed in the summer of 1999 when a devastating storm with hurricane-force winds tore through the Boundary Waters area. Over 20 million trees were felled in the course of just 20 minutes. It was a scene of complete destruction. it would never be the same again. Parker writes how his trip there a month later was heartbreaking as he witnessed so much destruction and devastation. He even questioned whether he ever wanted to return the next year. But Parker writes how that has changed with time, how he expected that his beloved place would never be the same. But he writes that with each visit since, how he has been astonished to see how nature used devastation to stimulate new growth, how it manages slowly and persistently to heal its own wounds, how the wholeness that was there is being replaced by something that in its own way too is whole. And I think it may be that way for us humans as well. The spiritual journey is about seeing ourselves in relation to the whole, and how that begins with seeing all of the parts of ourselves that is part of that whole. It's starting in the place where we find ourselves in the present moment. I'm struck by how in our culture, illness is so often framed in terms of a battle that we either win or lose. But how is it that we come to recognize that illness has part of our wholeness too? How is it that we come to define ourselves not simply by the illness, but how that illness has shaped us and reshaped us, how our sense of self, our sense of our own wholeness can change and emerge, how we come to have a renewed sense of self, of the whole of who we are, and the acceptance, hopefully, that comes with it. Life asks us to take what life brings and to make meaning, even if it feels like something has been taken away, even when any sense of meaning can seem far, far away. Maybe it comes in the recognition that life is not always fair and that anger can rise up is also something that needs to be named. But hopefully, under all that we are able to go to that place where we know we are loved and held just as we are. Hopefully, we can find that place where we know we are part of something much, much larger. Maybe part of that larger whole is seeing ourselves in the lives of others, how we come to see our own brokenness, our own need for healing as connecting us to the healing of the world, how we come to recognize brokenness in other people, their vulnerabilities, their struggles, and as we see something of ourselves in them as well. Maybe we're a little less judgmental of others. Maybe in witnessing to the ways another person is critical of themselves, we see a mirror that is held up and lets us know that we should cut ourselves a little more slack too. Sometimes it may simply take time and space to come round right. Maybe it's after a loss we've known and healing from that loss. The writer Toko Pa Turner says there is a good kind of waiting when it comes to finding our way, a kind of waiting which she says is about trusting the agents of fermentation in our lives. I love that phrase, the agents of fermentation in our lives. She says it's a way there is a waiting which prepares us and adorns us and makes us plump with readiness for love's return. Wholeness has something to do with knowing ourselves to be loved just as we are. And sometimes the hardest part of that knowing is with ourselves in particular. We can be the hardest barrier, the biggest barrier to seeing that. But I do think that recognition of wholeness needs to begin deep inside of us. I can tell someone I see that I see them as whole, all that I want, but if they cannot get to that place themselves, at least a little bit, That makes for a much steeper climb. Sometimes claiming that for ourselves is the hardest part of all. Sometimes it may be the work of a lifetime. To see in our own fragility, in our own vulnerability, our own wholeness, the fragility, the vulnerability, the wholeness that is all around us. Words again of Joy Harjo. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, the one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know except in moments, steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. We see you, we see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born, and die soon within a circle of motion. Like eagle rounding out the morning inside us, we pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty. In times all too often described as chaos, in times all too often described in terms of brokenness and loss, in times when it can be so easy to lose our sense of self, it's important to make space to claim or to reclaim our own sense of wholeness, and in turn to help others find their way. May we each bring all of our parts into this new day, into this new season, and with it, once again, our own unique sense of wholeness, our own place in the family of things. Amen. Let us sing together now our closing hymn. Let's rise in body and in spirit.
Amen.
complicated and difficult and amazing times, may you recognize your beauty. May you recognize your wholeness. May you recognize that you are unique and precious, and that out of that wholeness, may each of us, all of us, bring our share of love into this world. For this is the day that you and I are given. So let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace. Practice love. Amen.